What's up? This is Triple Dub, the podcast that fills the stat sheet with record setting info about the latest NBA news, trends, and predictions. Today, we will be highlighting the biggest developments the league has seen in response to the pandemic and our predictions for the NBA playoffs. Hi, I'm Aki, and I'm a Warriors fan.
I'm Rohan, and I'm a 49ers fan, and also a Warriors fan.
And finally, I'm Andrew, and I'm a Knicks fan. So we're going to start off each episode with an initial take from each one of us, highlighting the biggest basketball news and changes around the league. So obviously, the main news we need to talk about is the return of the NBA. So all of the teams that currently have a playoff spot, so 16 teams, as well as all of the teams within 6 games of a playoff spot, which is an added 6 teams, will go to Disney World Resort in Orlando to conclude the season. So the players and staff will be required to stay within this bubble at Disney World at all times and will have to maintain social distancing. However, it will be interesting to see whether players and coaches will actually obey this protocol because the rules aren't particularly strict and enforced very well, and they're just kind of trusting the players. So just one person refusing to obey the rules could cause some major issues.
Thank you, Andrew. My initial take is about how the NBA will finish the regular season. Essentially, the teams will all play 8 regular season games to fill out their local TV contract, which requires 70 regular season games played, and also to determine the seeding for the playoffs. Experts say that the NBA could have handled the situation a lot better by postponing the season to next year, but instead they condensed the season to a small tournament in Orlando for money-making purposes. This shows the darker side of the NBA since they are just trying to grab some profits at the expense of the integrity of the system.
After the 8 regular season games, if the ninth seed in either conference is within 4 games of the 8th seed, they will participate in a pre-playoff play-in tournament, which is double elimination for the 8th seed, but only single elimination for the ninth seed, meaning that the ninth seed would have to beat the 8th seed twice in order for a chance to get demolished by either the Lakers or the Bucks. This is a new system which might actually give the NBA a chance to see some of its biggest stars, including Damian Lillard, Zion Williamson, and Ja Morant, to duke it out in some high-intensity playoff atmosphere basketball. This certainly would be an entertaining part of the season if the NBA decides to continue this in upcoming seasons.
Next, we have a trivia segment hosted by one of us each week. There will be 5 questions each week worth 10 points each. After each set of 10 episodes, the winner will make the losers do a forfeit as long as it's within reason. Today, I'm the host and I'll be asking Andrew and Akhilesh 5 questions about NBA playoffs throughout the history of the league. Are you both ready?
Yep.
Okay, let's begin. The first question is, which team has the most championship wins of all time? A, the Boston Celtics, B, the Golden State Warriors, C, the LA Lakers, and D, the Philadelphia 76ers. We have a response from Akhilesh. Can you please say your answer?
Yeah, I think it's A, the Celtics.
Ding, ding, ding. That is correct. Akhilesh is now on the board for 10 points. The next question is, when was the last time the Lakers made the playoffs? A, 2010, B, 2011, C, 2013, or D, 2018? We have an answer from Andrew. Can you please say your answer?
I'm guessing that it's D, 2018.
Unfortunately, that is wrong. Now let's move on to Akhilesh. Can you please say your answer?
I think it's C, 2013.
Ding, ding, ding. That is correct. Akhilesh is on the board for 20 points now. Our third question is, how many championships have the Warriors won in the last 5 years? A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, and D is 4. We have an answer from Akhilesh. Can you please say it?
The Warriors have won, I think, 3 championships in the last 5 years.
Ding, ding, ding. Another point, another 10 points for Akhilesh. Andrew, let's hope you can get on the board with these next 2 questions. Fourth question is, which team was the only 8th seed to make the finals? A is the 1965 Celtics, B is the 1979 Supersonics, D is the 1995 Magic, and D is the 1995 Knicks. So we have an answer from Andrew. Can you please say it?
I have absolutely no clue, but I'm guessing it's B, the Supersonics.
Unfortunately, that is incorrect. Akhilesh, can you please say your answer?
I have no clue either, so I said D, the 1995 Knicks.
Wow, that was a pretty lucky guess since that is the correct answer. Akhilesh now has 40 points, and Andrew is still yet to get on the board. Hopefully, you can get the next question because it's pretty easy. The final question is, what is the best regular season record of a number 1 seed? A is 72-8, B is 73-9, C is 69-13, and D is 68-14. If you have an answer from Akhilesh, can you please say?
I think by our very own Golden State Warriors, the answer is B, 73-9.
Yes, that's correct. Unfortunately, Andrew answered a little bit too late, but he did get the right answer. So, score is
Literally got the right answer on like 3 of them, but just like a second too late. It's frustrating.
Sweep.
Aki is 50.
I see this is a recurring theme. Me
Was
getting
this too easy
0
for you,
right.
Akhilesh?
It might have been. The fourth question was definitely really hard, and I got a lucky guess on that.
I thought Andrew would get because it was the Knicks. Oh no,
How
no.
does it feel to get a Knicks question wrong, Andy?
Well, I
was
mean,
the
I can't
Knicks
even
question.
name 2 Knicks players to be honest.
So today, for our main activity, we're going to be predicting the NBA playoff seedings and results throughout. Each one of us is going to discuss the specifics about the Eastern and Western Conference playoffs as it's going to be through the months of August, September, and October. Let's start with the Eastern first round. In the East first round, I have the number 1 seed Bucks sweeping the number 8 seed Magic. And I think most people should agree with that. I have the number 4 seeded Heat beating the number 5 seeded 76ers in 7. I have the 76ers moving up a couple games in these last 8 games and becoming the 5th seed over the Pacers, who will fall to the 6th seed. I think the Heat still have an advantage because they have beaten the Sixers the last 3 times they have faced them, including a couple of blowouts. I have the number 3 seed Celtics sweeping the number 6 seed Pacers. I don't think the Pacers have the experience, and the Celtics swept the Pacers last year. And finally, I have the number 2 seed Raptors beating the 7 seed Nets in 5.
All right. I also have the Bucks sweeping, or the 1 seed Bucks sweeping the 8th seed Magic. And then I have the 5th seed 76ers beating the 4th seed Heat in 6. The 3rd seed Celtics beating the 6th seed Pacers in 6. And finally, the 2nd seed Raptors beating the 7th seed Nets in 5.
In my bracket, I have the 1 seed Bucks sweeping the 8 seed Nets 4-0. Next, I have the 4th seed Heat beating out the Pacers 4-1. I have the 2 seed Raptors beating the 7th seed Magic 4-0. And finally, I have 3rd seed Celtics losing to the 6th seed 76ers 4-2.
That's really interesting. I think one of the main discrepancies so far has been what is the plight of the 76ers. So you two both have them upsetting the higher seeded teams, whether it be the Heat or the Celtics. So let's first talk about the Heat 76ers matchup. I think that the Heat have the 76ers number because I feel they are a very good, young, strong team with a clear leader versus the 76ers have been in chaos the entire year. Additionally, although 76ers may be more talented, the Heat have won the last 3 outings against the 76ers. So I feel although the series might be close, the Heat's leadership duo of Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo will be too much for the Sixers.
Yeah, I think that even though the Sixers had like this chaotic season, I think they're gonna kind of recover from that. I feel like this like break, this epidemic is kind of like a reset almost like restarting the season. And I feel like the Sixers will start to perform how everyone thought they would perform this season after this break. So I think they're gonna like perform much better than they have during the regular season.
Luckily, in my bracket, the Heat and the 76ers are on opposite sides, so they'll never have to face each other.
Yeah, let's talk about your matchup, Rohan. The Celtics versus the 76ers. I actually would agree with you if these two teams face each other, that the Sixers might have the upper hand here because they have really good wing defenders like Ben Simmons and Matisse Thybulle, along with really good scorers like Tobias Harris, to defend the likes of Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kemba Walker. And also, the Sixers have terrible inside presence. The reason why the Celtics were doing so well against the 76ers last year was because they had Al Horford, and now Al Horford has joined the 76ers. So the tandem of Al Horford and Joel Embiid would be too much for the Celtics, in my opinion. All right. Now let's talk about the Western first round. I have the number 1 seed Lakers beating the number 8 seed Pelicans in 5. I have the number 5 seed Rockets beating the number 4 seed Thunder in 6. I have the number 3 seed Nuggets beating the number 6 seed Jazz in 7. And I have the number 2 seed Clippers beating the number 7 seed Mavs in 6.
All right. I also have the Lakers beating the 8th seed, but my 8th seed is the Trailblazers, actually. And I have the Lakers winning in 5. And then I have the 4th seed Rockets beating the 5th seed Mavericks in 6. The 3rd seed Nuggets beating the 6th seed Jazz in 7. And then finally, the 2 seed Clippers sweeping the 7th seed Thunder.
Thank you. In my bracket, I have the 1 seed Lakers sweeping the 8 seed Grizzlies. I have the 4 seed Rockets beating the 5th seed Jazz 4-3. I have the 3 seed Nuggets beating the 6 seed Thunder 4-1. And finally, I have the 2 seed Clippers beating the 7 seed Mavericks 4-2.
God, I
Very
think what we
interesting.
really have to talk about here is the 8th seed, because I don't think any of us agree on who's going to steal that final spot in the playoffs. So, Aki, would you like to explain why you think that the Pelicans will get that spot?
Sure. As many of you may or may not know, by around December timeframe, the Pelicans were the 14th seed and were 1 game away from being the 15th seed behind the lowly G League Warriors this season. But since the return of Zion and the flourishing of other players such as Drew Holiday, Lonzo Ball, and Brandon Ingram, I feel the team has gone on such a run and taken many good teams to such close games, they will end up winning a lot of games. I have them matching up very favorably against the Memphis Grizzlies team because Lonzo and Drew Holiday are very good perimeter defenders, so they should be able to clamp Ja Morant, who is the face of the Memphis Grizzlies, 2 games in a row. So I think they would be the 8th seed.
All right. I also don't have the current 8th seed in the Memphis Grizzlies, making it getting a playoff spot, but I have the Trailblazers instead. And that's because I think that Damian Lillard and Hassan Whiteside and like the rest of the Trailblazers make like a really strong team. And I think that they're more experienced in like a playoff like scenario than both the Grizzlies and the Pelicans, making the conference finals last year. So that's why I think in this kind of like more high stakes scenario, they'll succeed and make it to the playoffs.
And I have a different playoff scenario than both of you. I feel like the Memphis Grizzlies will keep their 8th seed, and this is because they're already ahead by many games, and it's going to be extra difficult for teams such as the Pelicans and Blazers to catch up. And even then, I think the Memphis Grizzlies will perform well in the tournament in Orlando because they have had players such as Ja Morant and Jonas Valanciunas who have played really, really well this season. And I think that they'll be able to hold out and keep the 8th seed.
Very interesting. I think another thing which we need to talk about is the whole shamble of seeds that is the seeds between number 4 and number 7. So I have, we all have the Jazz falling. I think basically we mostly have the Jazz falling to about the 6th seed, and the teams which go up to the 4th or the 7th seed is very different. I have the Thunder going up to the 4th seed and the Rockets going up to the 5th seed because I think they'll perform very similarly and they'll keep their standings. But the Jazz will probably go something like 2-6 in the their 8 regular season games, and they'll fall to the 6th seed, but not enough to slide down past the Mavericks, who are 2 games behind the 4 and 5 seed right now, and actually 2.5 to 3.5 games behind the Jazz right now.
All right, so I think that the Rockets will move up to the 4th seed. The Mavericks will get the 5th seed. I also agree the Jazz will get the 6th seed, but I think the Thunder will fall down to the 7th seed. So basically, I think that out of the 4, the Rockets definitely have the strongest team in my opinion, with like star players James Harden and Russell Westbrook. And I think the Mavericks also have like a fairly strong team with both Kristaps Porzingis and Luka Doncic. The Jazz, I think, will fall because they don't have like as strong of a team as both the Rockets and the Mavericks. But I think that the Thunder actually have the weakest team of the 4 because they don't really have the talent that the other 3 have. With only really Chris Paul as a notable star player, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with Andrew here. I don't really see the Oklahoma City Thunders keeping their spot. I think that they'll continue to decline down in seeding. In my situation, I have them as the 6th seed, and I for the same exact reasons because I don't think they have as talented as a team as the Jazz and the Rockets. And I think we also see the Jazz dropping because of, in my opinion, it's the beef during with Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. I think that's going to take a toll on their team and their chemistry, and I see them declining. But I feel like the Rockets are going to prevail as they've prevailed in various playoff situations, and they also have a very talented team with James Harden and Russell Westbrook, and I see them climbing up to the 5th seed.
I don't know. I feel you guys are really underestimating the Oklahoma City Thunder. They have had one of the top records in the league since about Thanksgiving or Christmas, and you're really discrediting the other players on the team. You have two-way sensation shooting guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander playing alongside Chris Paul, along with a number of very good players both off the bench and in the front court, including sharpshooter Danilo Gallinari, center Steven Adams, and Sixth Man of the Year candidate Dennis Schroeder. All right.
Right now, I think it's time to move on to the conference semifinals in the East. So, Aki, you want to start?
Sure. So I have the number 1 seed Bucks beating the number 4 seed Heat in 6 games, and I have the number 3 seed Celtics upsetting the number 2 seed Raptors in 6.
All right, I have the number 1 seed Bucks beating the 5th seed 76ers in 6 games. And then I have the Raptors, the 2nd seed Raptors beating the 3rd seed Celtics in 6 games as well.
In my situation, I have the 1st seed Bucks beating the 4th seed Heat in 4-1. Next, I have the 2nd seed Raptors beating the 7th seed 76ers, or losing to the 76ers 4-3 in a very close series.
All right. We have a lot to talk about. Yeah. So you have the 76ers making the conference finals, Rohan. Explain that. Why do they match up well against the Raptors? The Raptors have been the better team the whole season.
I feel like the main reason why the Raptors were doing pretty well last season was in part due to Kawhi Leonard. And with the loss of Kawhi Leonard this season, I feel like they won't be able to perform as well in the playoffs. But I feel like the 76ers will perform better in these situations because of the raw talent they have. It is still a little bit of a risky situation, but I feel like the 76ers will be able to prevail given that they have such great players such as Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, and Ben Simmons on their side.
All right, and then let's talk about the matchup. Andy and I were on opposite sides of Celtics versus Raptors. We both had the 76ers going out in the first round, so we both had the Celtics and Raptors moving on. I had the Celtics winning, and you had the Raptors winning. I think the Celtics would win purely because they have just way more offensive firepower than the Raptors do. With the likes of all-star starter Kemba Walker, along with all-star snub, in my opinion, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum, who was an all-star this year and has exploded in the last couple of months, averaging about 30 a game. I feel that they just have way too much offensive power for the likes of the Raptors with only Kyle Lowry and Pascal Siakam to handle.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are sleeping on the Raptors this season. And this is because you look at both Pascal Siakam and Kyle Lowry, both of them were injured for at least 2 weeks or more during the season, and they still managed to get the second seed with a record almost as good as the Lakers, and I believe like on the same level as the Clippers. I think this is like everyone's talking about how Pascal Siakam and Kyle Lowry are really their only two decent players. But even when they were injured, the Raptors still performed well. And that's why I think they are still one of the best teams in the NBA and they'll make it to the conference finals.
Very interesting. Now let's move on to the West. I have the number 1 seed Lakers beating down the number 5 seed Rockets in 5, and I have the number 2 seed Clippers sweeping the number 3 seed Nuggets.
All right. I have the number 1 seed Lakers beating the number 4 seed Rockets in 7. And then I have the number 2 seed Clippers beating the 3rd seed Nuggets in 5.
In my bracket, I have the 1 seed Lakers nearly sweeping the 4 seed Rockets in 5, and I have the 3 seed Nuggets losing 4-3 in a very close series to the 2 seed Clippers.
Very interesting. Let's talk about this Nuggets-Clippers matchup. You guys seem to be a lot more trigger happy about the Nuggets than I am. So what do you like about the Nuggets that could actually give the Clippers a run for their money?
Oh no, I feel like in your bracket you're not giving enough credit to the Nuggets because the Nuggets are a great team and they've showed up pretty well these past few years. They've had a very good record. But to say that they're going to get chipped 4-0 by the Clippers was actually a little bit disrespectful. I feel like the Nuggets do still have a pretty great team with players such as Nikola Jokic, who is an all-star and arguably one of the best centers in the game right now. And they also have very good coaching. And I feel like the Nuggets will be able to snag some games out of the Clippers.
I don't know. I don't feel like the Nuggets have the same firepower, and especially on defense. The Clippers bring so many weapons on both offense and defense, including Kawhi Leonard, who they literally don't have any response to. Maybe Will Barton, but that's not really a good response for Kawhi Leonard defensively. They also have Paul George, and off the bench, they have pieces like Reggie Jackson, Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, Joakim Noah, along with the recent addition from the Knicks, which they picked up, Marcus Morris. I feel that just defensively and offensively, they just outmatch the Nuggets in every way possible, and I don't see them stealing a game.
Yeah, I'm kind of in between you two. I have the Nuggets only winning 1 game, and I do agree with Aki that the Clippers are like by far the better team and they should be sweeping the Nuggets. But I'm not really sure just how consistently they'll perform, even though they're the better team. I see them just slipping up once during this series.
Very interesting. Now let's move on to the conference finals. I have the number 1 seed Bucks beating the number 3 seed Celtics in 6 and moving on to the finals.
Yeah, I think mine might be a bit of a shocker. I have the number 2 seed Raptors just edging out the number 1 seed Bucks in 7.
In my situation, I have the number 1 seed Bucks beating out the 6 seed 76ers in a 4-2 series.
Very interesting. I feel like Andy deserves an explanation for what is a very hot take. It took Kawhi Leonard clamping down Giannis for 4 straight games for the Raptors to win in 6 last year. Without Kawhi, how do the Raptors stand a chance?
As I've already said before, I think the Raptors are still one of the best teams in the NBA, and I think they compete on an equal level with the Bucks. The only reason they're a few games behind them in the standings is really because of the injuries that they've suffered through this season. And I think that with the full fully healthy team with both Kyle Lowry and Pascal Siakam still playing, they'll be able to compete equally with the Bucks, and I think they'll just manage to win it in Game 7.
I think I'm on Oculus here. I don't see the Buck. I see the Bucks totally beating out the Raptors in a situation like yours because like Oculus said last season, the Raptors had Kawhi Leonard to defend Giannis, but without Kawhi Leonard, how are they defend Giannis? And I feel like Giannis is just gonna drop like 40, 50 points on the Raptors, and I feel like because of that, the Bucks are gonna win in that kind of situation.
Yeah, I feel like they have way too many options. Like if you have Pascal on Giannis, who's guarding Chris Middleton? Who's guarding Eric Bledsoe? Who's guarding all the other sharpshooters? I just don't see them having a chance. Now, let's go to the West. And I think all of us have the Battle of LA in Orlando. I have the Clippers beating the Lakers in a grueling 7-game series.
All right, I also have this game going to 7 games, but I think that the Lakers will edge it out.
In my situation, I have the series going to 6 games with the Lakers pulling out 4-2.
All right, so Aki, care to explain why you think the Clippers will manage to make it to the NBA Finals?
I feel the Lakers are way too top heavy. They signed the wrong people, and they just aren't as good of a matchup outside of their top two. I mean, outside of LeBron and Anthony Davis, who, yeah, might be a better duo than Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, the rest of the team is terrible. Who is their third best player on the team? Danny Green? Dwight Howard? JaVale McGee? I don't know. I feel like the Clippers have so many pieces. Patrick Beverly. They have Lou Williams. They have Montrezl Harrell. They have Patrick Patterson. They have Marcus Morris. They have so many pieces which they have picked up. I just don't see it. And also, the defense of the Clippers is just so supreme.
All right, I personally think that the Lakers will manage to beat the Clippers, and I think that even though they don't have the best players outside from maybe LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and maybe Dwight Howard, we've seen in previous years how LeBron James can just completely transform a team and carry what isn't really a great team to an NBA Finals. So I think that he managed to do it with the Cavs. I think that he can do it with the Lakers.
Yeah, I think I'm with Andrew here. I see LeBron James and Anthony Davis really pulling out and carrying the Lakers to a series win. But even then, I feel like Oculus, you aren't giving enough credit to the Lakers for their bench players because players such as Dwight Howard are very good on defense, and Avery Bradley is also a very good shooter. And I feel like the Lakers will still be able to win because LeBron also has a lot of experience in the finals and in the playoffs overall. And I feel like he'll be able to pull out and get a win for the Lakers.
I don't know about that, but just a thought provoker. Last time LeBron faced Kawhi in the playoffs, Kawhi's team won in a series 4-1, and he won the Finals MVP based on his work defending LeBron. I really don't see how LeBron will be able to get out of that one, especially 5-6 years later when Kawhi has fully transformed into who he is now. All right, now we're going to be talking about the NBA Finals. This is it. This is going to be likely the end of September and going into October. And we all have an LA team representing the West and either the Bucks or the Raptors representing the East. I have the LA Clippers beating the Bucks in 6 games, making them the NBA champions of 2020.
I also have the LA team winning in 6 games, beating the Raptors, having the Lakers beat the Raptors 4-2.
In my situation, I have the Lakers beating out the Bucks 4-3.
All right. So I guess let's talk about why you think the Raptors are able to take 2 games off the Lakers, Andy. I know you've said
I
repeatedly
still
that
think,
they're one of the better teams in the league, but I mean, it's the Lakers.
yeah, that's true. I think the Raptors are, I'd say the best team in the East, maybe on oh, I know most people would say the Bucks are better, but I think that even though the Lakers are a much better team, the Raptors still have the capability to pull out wins when people don't really think that they will. I see them doing it in the first 3 rounds. I think they can manage to get a few wins versus the Lakers, but ultimately the Lakers are the better team, and I think they'll be the NBA champions.
Very interesting. So, the championship in Orlando is going to LA in all three of our brackets. Now, it's going to the Staples Center. We just don't know which team it is. Leave your prediction in the comments as to who do you think will win the championship? Which bracket do you agree with most? Do you think any of the upsets are actually going to happen? What do you think about our seeding choices?
Finally, we have a hot take segment where we each make a potentially controversial prediction related to the NBA playoffs. So mine is about the play-in tournament. And I don't think there's going to be one in the East. I think that's fairly expected. Bradley Beal isn't enough without John Wall to carry this weak team to the playoffs. But in the West, I think that there will be a play-in tournament with the Trailblazers getting the ninth seed and beating the Grizzlies. That's because I think they're just more experienced in playoff scenarios, and I think in this kind of play-in tournament, which is like basically a playoffs, they'll be able to win 2 games.
Interesting. I feel that if the Blazers do get the 9th seed, they would also beat the 8th seed because they have a lot more experience, like Dame, CJ McCollum, and also the return of Yusuf Nurkic. So if the Blazers make the 9th seed, I don't have them making the 9th seed. They would probably be the 10th seed, but it's possible.
All right, Rohan, would you like to give your hot?
For my hot take, I have the 76ers upsetting the Celtics in the first round and upsetting the Raptors in the conference semifinals. I believe that Ben Simmons is a 30% three-point shooter as he's claimed, and I think Brett Brown will convince Ben Simmons to start shooting threes, and he will definitely contribute to the 76ers offense very well. In addition, I also think that the 76ers will go 7-1 in the 8-game regular season tournament in Orlando, and this will give them some mojo and confidence going into the playoffs, which will allow them to perform very well.
I agree with you that the 76ers will be successful. I can see them winning 7 games. Well, maybe not 7, but winning most of their games during the final 8 games of this season. However, I don't see them being able to beat the who do you say they were beating? You said the Celtics and the
Celtics and
Raptors?
the Raptors, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see them beating the Raptors because I think that the Raptors and Bucks are just the two strongest teams in the East, and I don't think any other teams really compete with them. Yeah, so I can see them beating the Celtics, but not the Raptors.
Interesting. My hot take is that the Mavericks get 2 games on my champion Clippers, which is as many as the Bucks, the most favored team in the East, would get on them. This is because I feel that the Mavericks' record pace offense is just going to be too much for the Clippers in a couple of games. Yes, the Clippers have outstanding defense, but the offense contributed from players such as Luka Doncic, who is averaging almost a 30-point triple-double in only his second season, and Kristaps Porzingis, who is starting to look like his old form, and the fact that the Mavericks have beaten the Lakers and Clippers on various occasions throughout the season, I feel that they match up decently well and will be able to get 2 games, the same number as the Bucks.
I agree that the Mavericks are a very talented team on offense, but they are not that good in clutch situations because a statistic showed that the Mavericks were ranked 29th in clutch situations, and clutch situations are defined as when the Mavericks were within 5 points of another team in the fourth quarter, and especially with the playoffs, which is a high intensity clutch environment, I feel like the Mavericks are very good, but I don't know if they'll be able to maintain their performance throughout the whole games and throughout the whole series and keep up their clutch.
All right, so that wraps it up for this episode of Triple Dub. If you liked it, make sure to like, and if you didn't, tell us why in the comments. We will change that in the future. This is the guys from Triple Dub signing off. See ya.